Hi, my name is Megan and I'm the Chief Creator of Wood Stencil Co. Today we will be assembling a square plywood frame sign. Let's look at the contents of your DIY craft box. Inside, you should have one piece of plywood, 4 pieces of wood for your frame, your personalized stencil, some transfer tape, sanding paper, your chosen colors of paint, foam brushes, finishing nails, popsicle stick for smoothing down your vinyl, and a T-pin for weeding. Let's get started. So first, clear your workspace. Move everything out of the way so you have space to work. And now, grab something that you're allowed to paint on. I'm going to use this piece of cardboard, but you can use a plastic tablecloth or anything like that. For this project, I'm going to be leaving the inside of the wood frame pieces natural wood. I'm going to paint 2 sides first, let it dry, then I will paint my last side so I don't get paint all over my hands. You can paint however many sides of the frame that you want. You'll notice that there are holes in these pieces. These are called pilot holes. These pilot holes will help you guide the nail into the wood when you're framing your sign. Do at least 2 coats for the frame and then let it dry in between coats. Take a piece of plywood. It's already protected so that you don't have to worry about that and you can just paint on it right away. Now, I want to paint my background white. You want to try to do multiple thin coats rather than one big thick coat. It will help the paint dry faster and it will hopefully be less blotchy. Do at least 2 coats and let it dry in between each coat. While you're waiting for your paint to dry, you can start weeding out your vinyl stencil. Weeding is when you use the enclosed T-pin, or if you have at home, tweezers, to remove the part of the vinyl stencil that you want to paint. Make sure you don't rip part of the vinyl that will be placed onto your wood, or else the paint may bleed under. Don't forget to leave the inside of some letters like A, E, D, O, and R on the stencil so the letters still have some shape. And now it's time to place your transfer tape onto your freshly weeded vinyl stencil. So you can first practice laying it on so you don't miss the first few times. And the important thing about this is, you don't have to actually cover the whole stencil, just the weeded parts, to make sure it all comes in one piece onto your piece of plywood. I feel pretty good about it now. Sometimes it's a little hard to get off, but if you're having difficulties, you just go to a different corner. Or hope you grow longer nails in a minute, but I think going to a different corner would work better. Now you're going to use your popsicle stick or your finger to smooth out everything. Now it's time to sand your wood. Sand your background if you painted it, but if you painted your frame, then you can sand your frame. Take a lint-free cloth and wipe all the fine dust off your project. Make sure there is no fine dust on your project. Even the tiniest bit of fine dust can affect the way your stencil adheres to the wood. Now, carefully take your stencil and without removing the backing, place it onto the wood where you want your stencil to be placed. Take your pencil and use it to make small marks along the edge of your stencil so you know where you want to place it. Now it's time to remove the backing of your vinyl stencil. Start at one corner and try to peel it off. If you can't get it to go, then go to another corner. Make sure none of the little bits inside the E's, A's, O's, R's, and D's come out. If they do start to come out, place part of the stencil back down and press over it. The reason why you should remove the backing of the vinyl stencil upside down is because it will prevent the stencil from curling. It's time to place your stencil onto your piece of wood. Just take a quick check to make sure none of the little pieces are missing from the inside of all the letters. Then, once you're sure you're not, you can pick it up gently and smooth it onto the wood. Smooth out your stencil using your finger and or your popsicle stick. I like using my finger so that I can feel all the air bubbles and really get them out, because if you don't, paint could bleed on your stencil. It's time to remove your transfer tape from your vinyl stencil. Make sure no little bits come out because you probably want the letters to have some shape. Another tip when removing the transfer tape: slowly roll off the transfer tape close to the surface rather than pulling it off from above. Place masking tape or painter's tape along the edges of your stencil to protect the surface of the wood that you aren't going to paint. Now it's time to paint the letters. Take your brush, dip it in. Tip: when painting your stencil, use an up and down dabbing motion instead of side to side brushing. If you're using multiple paint colors on your project, make sure the different paint colors don't touch. It's better to do multiple thin coats instead of one big thick coat. Do at least 3 coats for the letter, and make sure to let your paint dry 10 to 15 minutes in between coats. Now it is time to remove your masking tape or painter's tape and your stencil. Remove the tape and your stencil against the wood grain, or else the wood may splinter. Remove the small pieces with the T-pin, and make sure you hold your T-pin at an angle so you don't nick the paint. I noticed in some parts the paint bled under the stencil, so now I'm going to use my T-pin, or if you have at home, a detailing brush, and you can use that to just go over all the imperfections. It's time to frame your wood sign. As you may notice, we have moved to our garage because now it's time to start hammering things. And as a safety precaution, try to find a pair of safety goggles you can wear. You actually don't need to wear them if you really feel like it. And wear closed-toe shoes, so if you drop a hammer on your foot, you probably won't die right away. Now you need a surface you can hammer on. So if you miss and hammer something into like your fancy dinner table, then that'd be bad. So we're using just a work table. For this part, you want to get adult help and supervision.
Hi, I'm Cherie, Megan's mom. I'm her adult supervision today.
Right now, we are going to nail our wood sign together. We labeled our pieces of wood, top, bottom, left, and right, just so we know where to hammer them. And your top and bottom ones are going to want to be your longer pieces, and the ones on the inside will be the shorter ones. You're going to want to masking tape the backs, just so it adds a tiny bit of support. Make sure the back and the edges of the plywood are flush with the frame. Now it's time to hammer things. So grab one of your 1¼ inch finishing nails and try not to hammer adult supervision's hands while you hammer it. Hammer nails into all the pilot holes on one side. Next, other even side, it's time to take it off. Repeat the process for the other short side of the frame. Repeat the process for the bottom of the frame. Hammer nails into all the pilot holes for your last side. Ta-da! Your work of art is done. Now you can show it to family and friends and display it in your home. If you want more DIY craft kits just like this one, look for Wood Stencil Co. on Facebook and Instagram. Bye for now!